Pipe Network presents.
On this episode of season 4, let's talk.
Yeah, when you choose a specialization, you always want to do something productive in your life, of course. But the reason I chose that was it was sort of aligned to my passion. My passion was automobiles and automotive. So I was like, yeah, I took something in general, which is mechanical engineering, because it could relate to a lot of things, and it's most likely the basics of engineering. So, like, yeah, why not? Let's do that and see where it takes us.
Hey folks, welcome back to the Rajiv Show, and I'm your host Rajiv Doreswamy. And this show aims to help reach out to those who are currently struggling in life and to remind you that life is indeed beautiful when you're inspired to make it your own. Before we get into this episode, don't forget to like, share, and subscribe to whichever platform you are using. And if you want to connect with me, you can find me on Facebook, Twitter, Instagram, and on TikTok at The Rajiv Show. Hey, folks, welcome back to The Rajiv Show. And wow, my guest today is one of the 45th guests. I can't believe I've already hit 45th in my listings. That is one incredible hardworking list that I've worked with. Yeah, I've digressed. And I want to introduce my guest. I've known him for almost half my life. Um, and with what I know, this guy and I, we used to be close. Ever since I left high school, which we're gonna talk about. And he is a cool, he's an amazing brother. He knows Amarnath. If you guys remember that episode as well, you know, we're always, when we always get together, we exchange ideas, and this guy is an amazing conversationalist. Ladies and gentlemen, let me introduce my classmate slash childhood friend from cathedrals, Hemanth Kumar. Hey pal, how you doing?
Hey, man, I'm doing good. Thanks for inviting.
Cheers, cheers.
Nice to be here.
So, um, before we get into our stuff, we're gonna talk about some of the old memories that we still have. Before we get
Yeah.
into that, of course, could you give a little bit of background to my listeners? A little bit about yourself.
Yes. So I'm Hemanth, as you already know. It's always good to catch up with people from the past, just so you know. No, it's always curious to know what's happening with others, and it tends to get awkward also, and it's also interesting. So it's always nice to get in touch with people you know from before, and that's why I'm here. It's interesting.
And yeah,
Plus, yeah,
yeah. Of course, not gonna ask you the same question that I've asked almost every single one that I've asked, because you and I know you from high school already. A basic summary of who you are in high school is that, like I mentioned in the opening, cool guy, is always easy to talk to, and sometimes very intellectual when it comes to exchanging ideas and saying. So, we're gonna talk about, just before this recording, just so you know, folks. We were actually talking about some crazy stuff. What happened to me, and we're gonna subdivide this into saying, because during the time that I left high school around 2008. I remember him and I got close, and I'm sure my guest remembers that because he was there in almost all of it.
yes, that was pretty much a part of it.
Yeah. So, you wanted to ask me a question, by the way, pal. So, to clarify what really went down.
Yeah. So when did you leave cathedrals? I don't remember.
uh, well, in I actually left 2008. that was eighth standard. The thing I remember the story. Shit hit the fan really badly. It was the toughest year of my life. And with that, I don't know. Looking back at it, I don't remember why I ended up coming back. It was funny looking back at the memories. I did not know why I ended up coming back, and I remember I even attended the first grading examination, and in the end, it didn't really matter because I just remember it was cheating and all that stuff, but nothing really happened in the end because nothing carried through in that examination. Yeah,
Yes.
but yeah,
Yeah, the ICC gets the best of us. So
yeah, it was funny. It was funny. I think that was the
yeah,
transitory time when we were also changing principles. I don't know if you remember that.
yeah. I was in cathedrals for 3 years, and I saw three different principals. I was like, okay.
Yeah. Our late great principal John Zachariah, and
Yes.
then I don't remember who is the other one who succeeded. Uh, and then after that one,
Sarah Thomas was vice president, and I think it was Isabella. I don't know,
yeah,
this
I
lady
don't
from
remember who
West
that
Bengal.
Isabella was.
Yeah. I mean,
I
that was pretty much 10th. I mean, you weren't even there, and that was my 10th standard, so I didn't bother. I was like, yeah, that was a long time ago.
I have some stories from that principal, but I don't want to talk shit about that principal. That makes me more like a rant instead of a podcast. I'll tell you that after this recording. So yeah,
It's gonna be
man.
more like a gossip when you tell me this.
Oh yeah, yeah. There was a lot of stuff that I heard. There's a lot of stuff that I heard there, and it was a hilarious stuff. And right after school, when I left school, of course, him and then I actually grew closer, and through a mutual friend, Fida, we got to know each other. I remember we played cricket, and we hang around in Fida's place most of the time, and it was fun. One of those best memories, but one of the most important memories that I have in my brain was, of course, this time with him. And I mean, I want him and to tell this story because it's better to hear it from him, and then I'll add on my perspective later on. Pal, what was that story that you remember that you reminded me before this recording?
That we met with Vineet for a football game, and then we were discussing about your comic. They were
Yeah.
trying to build a comical universe and stuff, and we were exchanging ideas. And that was right at my place, and we were just down there talking for like 1.5 hours. I was like, I didn't even know how time went by
Yeah.
until the mosquitoes came and started biting our legs. I was like, damn. It's really getting dark in here.
Yeah, that was a funny experience. From my perspective, what I remember
Yeah.
was Vinit invited me, and where I stayed in Coxtown, folks, for those who are tuning in Coxtown in Bangalore, it was very, very hard. It was very, very hard to go to Hemanth's place because in Hemanth's place, I remember you have to cross China, Babylon, and every other area in order to reach Hemanth's place because that was far off the ring road. And what I mean, folks, what I mean by the ring road is that, of course, I live in the inner city of Bangalore. And then the ring road is like the borderlines between the other side of the outer ring road, where a lot of the places are developing. I heard in Bangalore, and I remember Vineet invited me. That my perspective. This is my perspective. Vineet invited me, um, and then you ended up messaging me and said you just joined, and it's like, oh, you're here, and then we ended up. There's a funny moment
Getting
that
off that.
yeah, the cycling was tough because at that time I didn't even have a gear cycle, so I was competing against BMTC bus, auto rickshaws, and I think that was the first time I actually moved out of the outer ring road just to meet you guys. It was like that was one of my craziest experience that I haven't shared it actually. This is the first time. And when I went there, I don't remember us playing football. I remember us sitting down in a park. That was the first part.
I don't know. The memory is vague. We could have played football and maybe we cooled down at the park. I'm not sure.
Yeah. And then what I remember was because I was so paranoid um, that when I met up with these guys and we were catching up, we were the thing monkeying around. I remember we sat down in the railway tracks. And I remember
Yeah.
Hemanth said, "Hey guys, do you have a coin? We want to flatten a coin. We wanted to see if a coin can get flattened in the thing." And then I just realized that I traveled by a cycle, so I didn't pay anything in order to get there. And it was funny. The next train I think was around 7, 8, and then they said, "Fuck it, let's go home." But I
Yeah.
still have, I
I
don't
mean,
know,
I saw
pictures
that
are there.
stuff being done in the movie, so I was curious
Yeah. I don't
what
even remember
happens.
where I parked my cycle, but I'm sure I remember that after we we got up of there. I got my cycle and you and I took a ride to your house, remember? And we were sitting down in front
Yes.
of the thing. That was when we were discussing, oh man, those I miss those days.
Yep.
Those are the good stuff, good times. Just reminiscing on
Yep.
all the good
Yep.
stuff that we've gone through. So yeah. Now I wanna ask, before we move on to the
Yeah.
conversation, I noticed that you're at a different background. You're not in India anymore. What happened? What led you there?
Yeah. So I'm used to change. So I before you met me in Bangalore, I was in two other places. I was in Chennai and Pondicherry. So one thing was like maybe I saw everything in Bangalore. I was like, okay, there's no new experiences. So I wanted to move out for new experience. And then I thought, okay, let's go to Sweden and study sustainable energy systems because that's something related to my bachelor's background. So I was like, yeah, I was interested in that. So
Hmm.
that's what led me here. And here I'm in Sweden in the cold Scandinavian winter, chilling in the darkness. It's good.
Cool. It's cool. It's funny.
Yep.
What was I wanted to know when you decided that were there some few messages that you were talking to yourself before you, or one pivotal moment that hit you realizing, or it was just spur of the moment is I want to go to Switzerland. It felt like it was a casual thing. I'm sure there was a deep conversation behind that.
Yeah. That deep conversation costed me 1 year. So after graduation, so I just wanted to take a time
Ouch.
off, chill, just see what I wanted to do in life, figure out. Because just like any other dude, I did engineering, which is common.
Hmm.
But then I also thought that we've come this far. Why not go a little bit further?
Hmm.
I mean, in terms of education, right?
Yeah.
Plus, I see a lot of people who's getting employed in Bangalore, especially. So the region matters because whatever's hot and happening, that's where you go. So a lot of people who study mechanical engineering or whatever core that is, so they either go work in IT industries or they don't get to pursue what they want to pursue in terms of specialization.
Hmm.
So I was like, nah, this is not what I expected it to be.
Yeah.
So, and I also wanted to get out and explore. So all these two things combined, plus also what kind of thing that can complement my education. So I thought about this.
Yeah.
Plus, it's also the need of the hour. I had my interest in this, so that was a subject called renewable energy in my as an elective in my bachelor. So I mean, I didn't even study, but then I was like, okay, yeah, this is simple. All you got to do is that, then this, and that, and this.
Huh.
That's a simple solution, right? So I was pretty surprised by myself where I was a very average student and then I overperformed there. I was like, maybe I got a knack at this.
Yeah.
And then I started researching deep into it. And then when I was unemployed for a year, just traveling around India, I
Huh.
was like, yeah, maybe I should do something productive. So I was helping my professor write his research paper. I mean, yeah, it's anyways going to help you with your English and it's going to help you for my masters and stuff. So I was like, yeah, let's see what that's like. And that gave me a lot of insight about what's actually happening in the world right now. So
Hmm.
that's what led me to take this step.
And
I'm like, yeah,
when
this is how I can contribute. and stuff.
My follow-up question to that is,
Yeah.
when you transitioned from around
Yeah.
India, last you said you were in Chennai. When you transitioned from there to Switzerland, was it start from the beginning? Because I think I've had a conversation with some few folks where some of them, yeah, I had a couple of conversation with some few folks. When they transition from one country to the other, they always have to start in the beginning. Especially, I think in Canada, I think that's the rule in Canada, and I think in US.
Hmm.
I'm not sure about US, but I've heard. I think I had a conversation with someone where they had to start from the beginning uh, if they want to get into the country. What was that the same situation with you?
First of all, I'm not in Switzerland, Sweden, for your correction.
Wrong
So,
number. Wrong number.
but but then, what do you mean by starting from the scratch or from ground up? What do you mean by that?
Starting from the scratch, because what I meant by that is when you transition into a new system, of course, some certain
Yeah.
grades will carry through. In the educational system of the particular country, and there are certain
Oh, yeah.
systems or ways when you transition into a new country, and some certain grades, some certain stuff, they don't really they don't um, they don't allow it's somewhat not really allowed, they don't really accept that particular they don't accept that particular subject, or they don't, so they expect you to go from the beginning. You start from grade 1 or whatever grade you are, and you start from there, or start from the beginning, start from, yeah, like I said. Is that the whole thing when you
Yes.
came in, or it was easy transition in Sweden? I got
I
that
would
right.
say it was an easy transition. Now you got it right. Yes. Yeah, perhaps it was a very easy transition because at this point, I'm a graduate, so there's nothing like starting from scratch again. So I've already got the necessary skills and knowledge or whatever. So they expect you to be this.
Mm.
So this is the same starting point as others from every other international background. And we all start at the same point. So there was nothing to be carried further and nothing to catch up for. So it was easy. The transition was easy.
I have this one particular question that I have in mind, but before I get into that question, folks,
Yeah.
for those who are tuning in, we're just gonna have a short break, and we'll be back right after these few short messages. Do you want to get great deals? Go to Pipe Marketplace. Visit pipenetwork.co/marketplace and use the promo code TRS to get exclusive discounts. Chat with them now. Basta Podcast, Pipe yan.
Your unfiltered Tagalog roasting podcast every week is now with Pipe Network. Catch the MTG Show podcast every Friday on your favorite podcast platforms. And remember, stay safe and stay reso.
Hey, folks, welcome back. And wow, the first half of our conversation, we had an amazing, amazing conversation here with my guest, Hemanth Kumar. For those who don't know him, I hope some of our old batchmates are tuning into this conversation, because I'm sure there's a lot of questions that they also miss asking, and I'm sure Hemant asked them. Only one question that I knew he asked from high school that I think I've answered. And we were talking about high school, and the transition from India to Chennai to to Sweden. And I have a lot of respect for him, and because he really takes courage. He's one of the guys that I kind of respect because of that. He By the fact that he actually said he wanted to do something, and then he did it. And here he is in Sweden, and I was about to say Switzerland. He's in Sweden. In Sweden. So yeah, we're gonna talk about the stuff that he learned. I mean, for those who are tuning in from the Philippines, we all know that they've seen the all is well kind of thing. The Bollywood movie where it's kind of kind of the Indian student would study engineering or doctorate in order to sing. It was kind of his side. This is one of the real life conversations of a person who studied engineering and managed to get through the suicide portion of it.
No, there was no suicide involved.
Yeah. Uh, because yeah, I mean, you have no idea, pal, how many times people, when they meet me for the first time, they ask me, have you seen that Amir Khan movie Tare Zameen Par? It's like, man, shit. I wish I should have like a tin can in my chest. Every time they ask, I'd leave like a coin there, and like I'll be a millionaire just because of that. I swear. And this is the true life. I gotta ask though, when you transition from college, again, I use the word transition. When you started studying in college, was it really what you wanted to do with your life, like in terms of passion? You know, you wanted to do engineering, or was it, spur of the thing? You needed to do something in order to do something with your life, do something productive with your life.
Yeah, when you choose a specialization, you always want to do something productive in your life, of course. But the reason I chose that was it was sort of aligned to my passion. My passion was automobiles and automotive. So I was like, yeah, I took something in general, which is mechanical engineering, because it could relate to a lot of things, and it's most likely the basics of engineering. So, like, yeah, why not? Let's do that and see where it takes us. So that's the idea that I had in mind. And also, my dad was a mechanical engineer, so that was kind of an inspiration. Because I know there's a helping hand next to me who
Oh,
can teach stuff. I know he's good at it. He's pretty good at it. So even though if I mess up, I mean, he's there for a backup. He can teach me stuff. I remember these days, just like one day before the exam, I'll go to my dad, like, Dad, I don't know this. Can you teach me? He's like, it's been 6 months and you want to ask me this doubt now, the last day. And then he takes his effort to explain that stuff to me on a very simplistic note. And the next exam, I go ace it. I mean, ace it in terms of the answer, but I still just get through, like, just my neck above the water kind of thing. So,
but still,
but
now
yeah,
that you're in Sweden, do you still ask him for favors like how to explain this, or you're good now? You've
at
advanced
this stage,
yourself.
I've learned to, yeah, at this stage I've learned to go acquire the things that I want by myself. So
Ah,
if it's way too complex and too hard to chew, then I'll probably go to my dad. But this is something very niche and something new that I'm learning. So
yeah,
at this stage, my dad can't help me anymore because he's in a different field of work and I'm in a different field. So
yeah.
I talk to friends or talk to professors, get that clarified. So that's how
Ah,
I deal with information flow.
it's good. I like your way
Yeah.
you think is like when you really want something, you go get it. And one thing in the real life action of that is, of course, the fact that I'm talking to you in Sweden, and it felt like ages since we spoke the last time you were in India. It was kind of like, yeah, wow, this guy really does what he says and says what he does, man. That's really fascinating and interesting in itself. So yeah, cars, huh? Wow, you just opened up a box there.
Yeah. Yep.
Cars, Sweden.
Yeah.
What's the best foreign
Volvo.
export there? Volvo, huh? Volvo. Ah, yeah, I remember.
Yeah.
We used to have a
Yeah.
showroom here somewhere. Yeah, here in La Trinidad. Um, before I actually, before I actually went to India, the first time I went to India. Now that place,
Mhm.
they actually took it down, and it's now a supermarket, a grocery, a nice grocery store. But back at when I was young, I remember that there was a Volkswagen. Is it Volkswagen, right? Volkswagen, the stuff that they sell there.
Volkswagen, yes, yes, the one with the VW. That's what you're
Yeah,
talking about. Yeah.
yeah. That's the stuff that they have. Did they still have that car, or did the manufacturer
No,
merge?
it's still around. They're still around. No, they didn't go into the water. They're still selling cars.
Uh, I missed that. I missed that thing because there used to be a junkyard Volkswagen in some cars. I never entered that place though. I've always passed by. And when I came back and they
Hmm.
replaced it to a grocery store, I said, "Oh, man, I prefer the cars over food." But yeah, that's one memory of cars that I love. Aston Martin. I'm sure
Yeah.
there's a lot of Aston Martins there. I'm a big Aston Martin fan of James Bond. Ever since I saw James Bond, I'm sure there's a lot of that stuff there.
Yes, it's more probably you see Aston Martins here, but you don't have a lot of rich people having Aston Martin, so it depends on their preference. But since it's like Aston Martins are pretty popular in the UK, but since it's Europe, yeah, I see a lot of Porsches and Audis
Ah, Porsche.
because it's European
Wait,
manufacturers. Yeah,
Porsche.
and
Porsche is French, right? Porsche is French.
it's a German Porsche is
German.
German.
Ah,
Yeah.
interesting. Man, all those
I can
all
tell you
those
about
cars.
everything, but
Yeah. All those cars that I'm talking about, all those I remember because I remember playing NFS, Need for Speed, the Blacklist. That's how I know all of them. You know, the fastest one is the BMW, and yeah, I don't know if
Mhm.
you remember that game. There's like one of the
I do remember the game.
one of those craziest
Nice.
thing. So interesting.
Yeah, it
That's an
gets you hooked on,
interesting.
and you.
Yeah, especially
Yeah,
that
I think
Blacklist.
that was the only game with which started the multiplayer thing. So we were all able to like game online with different cars, whereas
Yeah.
otherwise you'll have to go over somebody's place and you game together. So I think that's what Blacklist did.
Yeah. The funny part about
It's a cool game. Cool
the
game.
funny part about all of that was that's how I got to know all these cars. But I never really, if you talk to me about cars, I'll just go as far as, yeah, I know that brand, but I don't know what engine it has, and all that stuff. Like, yeah, it is fast. It's fast. It's got no engine. It doesn't, and it's not fast. let's let's transition from all the stuff from cars and all the wonderful memories that we've shared. Let's transition into
Yeah.
something serious now. Motivation. Ever since you
Yeah.
transitioned from India to Sweden, every time you get up, is
Yes.
there a particular Heyman quotation that you carry with you that reminds you, okay, I need to do my thing, I need to get through this course or get through this day? Because I know you mentioned this before the last time we had a conversation that you you are staying alone, if I could recall. So yeah,
I'm staying by myself.
yeah, yeah. I remember.
There's a difference.
Yeah, you're staying by yourself. Is there a particular
Yeah.
quote that gets you saying, "Hey, I need to wake up. I need to do this. I need to do this thing." Is there a particular quotation, Hemanth Kumar quotation?
Hemanth Kumar quotation when I wake up. Yes. There are lots of ups and downs, but never give up. Always have this idea of what you're here for, what's gonna get you there. Don't forget your end goal. So just have something that keeps running out of it. Work towards it. That's when you grow yourself. So these are the early ages where you can explore things. You can like taste different stuff, make mistakes and recover. So when you have the time to explore and make mistakes and recover, just do it. Get a taste of everything, and then you'll become a much wiser person later on. So yeah, that's you grow yourself. Yeah, that's what I want to say.
It's
Just never put a stop to that. Keep growing.
it's funny. I'm the one who's struggling to have a beard, and you look like the wisdom has come into your face now.
You're not the only one speaking with a beard, so
Bef- Before we end this conversation, during the break, Hemant and I had an interesting conversation about something that he opened up during the break. We were talking about food, actually. Before we
yeah.
end this conversation, we're gonna talk about some food. Apparently, he just gave me a note during the break that he's had the passion to he's picked up the passion to cook. Of course, especially in Sweden, he's met up with a lot of these interesting, fascinating folks and learned Italian. I think Italian was the last word. Didn't you say Italian?
Yes, I did mention Italians. They're easy to get along. But
Yeah,
they're chill.
that's pretty cool, man. Like, what's the specialty? Give us a taste, man, of what to expect from the Hemanth. I'm sure there's gonna be a Hemanth cooking show somewhere soon, coming soon.
Hemanth's
Hemanth
cooking
Kumar.
show is every night in my kitchen at 9 p.m.
Like, what's the, if you had like a top five finest, which what is the top five finest that you prefer?
I prefer to cook. Uh, the Started from the top, the good old Indian dal.
Ooh.
That's what I like to eat. That's like my staple food.
Hmm.
And next comes pasta. So I have pasta with some frozen vegan meat.
Huh.
So that vegan meat is a local term here, but it's more like it's made out of these plant-based proteins. So I get my necessary protein intake from that. So and I don't have to buy that fresh, and I don't gotta worry about that expiry date. So easy to consume, it fills the stomach and it's tasty. So that's pasta with some basil sauce and vegan meat. That's my second most favorite. And third is have some mashed potatoes and lingonberry jam. That's something very Swedish and it's locally available. So I like the way it tastes. It's pretty much vegan and it's less of it. That. And fourth is something which my friends cook, biryani, which I'm not a great cook of. So, and it's also a good activity to socialize. Hey, let's come over, bro. Let's make this biryani, and you
Yeah.
just get together, talk, cook together,
Hmm.
and you cook for like 2 hours, and you annihilate it in like 30 minutes. So that's the thing with biryani.
And
And
number
fifth,
five,
what do I say? Fruits.
fruits. Huh? Was
Yeah.
dessert? Dessert. It's like you built up one menu already for me.
Yep. Healthy food, everything. Yeah.
Fruits. Huh? That's cool, man. Wow, that was kind of mouth watering now. Now I'm hungry. I feel like I just want to go to Sweden just to eat and then come back for no reason.
The quality of food that you get here is insane.
Yeah.
Because nothing grows here and everything's exported. So
Yeah.
I'm sorry, imported. So yeah. I mean, yeah, things come from their original basis and it tastes so good.
I gotta ask though. You mentioned you guys when you guys get together and sing. Does the Sweden have like a particular tradition? Here in the Philippines, why I'm asking tradition is because I'm sure you've heard of the potluck or stuff like where when everybody comes
Yep.
together they bring their own food and all that stuff. And in America, I think
Yes.
that's the same thing. They bring their own food and they eat, or yeah, the barbecues and all that stuff from the American movies and other cultures. Do
Yeah.
you guys have that particular? What's the Swedish culture? That's very common. Like
Yeah.
that shocked you when you got together with your friends and okay, this is new. I think I can get used to this.
Yes. It's called a sitting. It sounds
Huh.
similar to sitting, but
Huh.
with an interchange N next to the T. So it's called sitting. So it's like a long table dinner that you see in the age-old movies, like in Games of Thrones or whatever. These huge ass long tables with people one next to each other and opposite to you.
Yeah.
So they dedicate you the place and they specify where you need to sit. So they diversify. That's normal. I mean, they specify where people sit, like how they
Huh.
do in marriages and stuff. Like
Yeah.
not in the Indian marriages, but yeah.
Yeah.
So that they serve you with starters, main course, and the desserts and everything. So in between the transition from starters to desserts, there's a performance going on at the stage.
Ooh.
So that's, or if it's happening at a home, it's you do something funny. So it's more like you eat together, you play games, and they explain you what you're eating.
Hmm.
So it's more like at first, since we were international students, it was like introducing what you're going to eat. But when you go to more local events like these, so it's like, yeah, you just drink, you sing a game, you sing songs, play a game.
Hmm.
So that's a Swedish sitting.
Wow. That's interesting. Huh?
Yeah.
It
Yeah.
feels interesting. And then one more thing to follow up, that is, when you guys are assigned and all that stuff, is it like a buffet thing that, or is it like the Indian, the old South Indian tradition where I remember when you're sitting on the floor, they have that. You remember that they have the paper banana leaf. Is it the same thing where they serve you a thing, or uh, you have to go get your food and
No,
then
no,
go back? It's buffet kind of setup.
no, it's not like a buffet. Yeah, you get food served at the table if you're outside. I mean, if you don't get among yourself with your friends and stuff, it's you just having the food on the table and you go grab what you want at the table.
Hmm.
So you don't have to like get up and go away and get it. So
Wow.
I mean, you should look it up. It's pretty cool. Sitting is a pretty cool thing to look it up. Please, who was listening to this? Yeah, look it up. It's a fun thing to do.
Yeah.
Doesn't
Any
happen always, but only on special occasions.
anything else? Anything else? Any Swedish, aside from of course sit. I don't even know how to pronounce it. Sitnik. Aside from that,
Sitting, ning.
sitnik.
Yeah.
Okay. Aside from that, is there any other cultural Swedish thing that you've experienced post pandemic, or pre pandemic, not post pandemic? Have you experienced anything like that?
I mean, to be honest, they didn't do shit for pandemic here, so post and pre feels the same. So there was no lockdown, nothing. So I mean, yeah, I've met a lot of people post pandemic than pre pandemic. So that's how social I've been because I couldn't sit in my room all alone. And I mean, this country has like very sparse population, so you don't have to worry about spreading the disease or something. So that okay, yeah. Justifying aside, there's this thing called Midsummer Festival. That's a really cool thing. All you do there is, I think it's the day of the equinox or solstice. I'm not sure what's the actual term. So
Hmm.
that's the longest day. So the sun probably never sets that day. So you just drink all day long and you burn a giant horse. There's this giant horse made out of grass and all this agricultural dry produce. It's huge. It's like three floors or 4 floors tall. So you just gather around that horse made out of these dry grass. You drink, you socialize, you eat, do whatever the hell you want to do, and then there's this competition on who burns that horse down first in the town. So yeah, some crazy kid does it first, and that's just the fun of it. So Midsummer is a pretty cool festival.
Wow, it's fascinating. It's like I
Yeah.
felt like I traveled there with you now.
Oh shit, that well.
So to wrap up that conversation, folks, before we end up, of course, I'm sure a lot of my listeners and Hemanth's listeners would love to connect, or some of my listeners would want to connect to and find out what life is in Sweden. And pal, I gotta ask, how can anyone connect with you? Where do they find you on social media, pal?
I'm pretty reachable on Facebook and LinkedIn, so I can give you my links and you can do whatever you want with it. But yeah, that's where I'm pretty much active and open for meeting new people.
Cool, cool.
Yeah.
And to wrap this conversation, I want to thank my guest, Hemanth Kumar. First high school classmate of mine that I've kind of managed to get through the Rajiv show, and yeah, hopefully if I manage to get the others, if not, then no worries. But yeah, I want to thank you for being part of this conversation. Hopefully if there's a time, let's catch up again and then we'll talk some more. And I want to thank you for being a part of the show, pal.
Sure. Yes, yes, it's also cool to be here.
All
Nice
right.
to spend my evening with you.
Cheers, cheers.
Yeah, cheers,
And
cheers. Yeah.
for those who are tuning in, I hope you learned a thing or two, and I'm sure you picked up a lot from this conversation. Cheers, folks, and I will see you in the next episode.